Good morning, P5s. Welcome to our first online STEM lesson, and we'll be looking at Unit 14, Materials and Their Properties. Before we begin the lesson, let's just keep a few things ready. If you have your STEM textbook, please keep it handy and have all your stationery besides with you. And I would also recommend you having a notebook with you in case you want to jot down few things, take few notes. And since this is online lesson and you've been doing a lot of online lessons, so maintain a good distance from your PC so that it doesn't affect your eyes. And for clear listening, please use headphones. In today's lesson, we're going to look at different materials and their properties. We all know what materials are around us. There are lots of materials around us, such as if you're in a classroom, you have the chairs, you have the tables, you have the stationery, you have paper. If you're at home in your living room, think of the materials that you can find around us. All our objects are made of different materials. You can find steel, you can find glass, you can find concrete, you can find cloth, you can find plastic. So materials are all around us, and different materials have different properties, and different properties are useful for making different things because they have different strengths. So in today's lesson, we'll look at different materials and their properties, and we will focus on four different properties. They are like how transparent they are to light. We look at the magnetic property. We look at heat conductivity. That means how efficient they are in conducting heat. And also we look at electrical conductivity. But besides these four properties, there are many properties which materials have. Now look at this one if you want to see. Now, look at the picture on your top left, the glass. What property do you think the glass has? Something that's very obvious. The four properties this I said, right? Of course, glass is transparent. You can see what's outside, and it has transparency to light. So that's one property this material has. So the first property that we'll study in this lesson is transparency to light. That means light can pass through these materials. They are transparent and we can clearly see objects on the other side. One very good example is glass. But besides glass, there are many other materials which are transparent. Now, when we talk about transparency, there are three types of transparencies. One is complete transparent. That means complete see-through. It allows light to pass through them and it's totally transparent. Some materials are called translucent. That means it allows some light to pass through them. It's not that clear. It's little it's little blurry. And then there is called opaque. That means no light can pass through them. Look around your house. Do you have these three kind of glasses? And where do we use them? Right? In our classroom, we have what kind of windows do we have? Do we have transparent, translucent, or opaque? We have transparent windows. We can see who's walking in the corridor and they can see us, so it's transparent. Some places we have translucent. That means little light is allowed, and opaque, that means no light is allowed. So look at the picture on the left, material and the properties. You can see lots of pictures here made up of different materials. Find out what is transparent, what is translucent, and if we have anything that is opaque here. The next property of materials is heat conductivity. That means how much heat does this material allow to pass through it? Some materials are very good conductors of heat. Say for example, just look in the picture and look at the cooking pot which is made of steel, a metal. Now we all know that cooking utensils are usually made up of metals. Why? Because metals allow heat to pass through them quickly and they help in heating up the things faster. They are good conductors of electricity. At the same time, if you observe very closely, not the entire pot is made up of steel. There are certain parts made up of different materials which have different properties. Think about it. Okay, what those properties are and why those properties are useful here. Look at the picture on your right. You see three spoons. One's plastic, another is metal, and another is wooden spoon. Let's say if you put a blob of butter on the spoon and you put all three spoons in hot water, which butter will melt faster? Think about it, right? The spoon which absorbs heat faster will allow heat to spread through it, and that heat will melt the butter faster. So think about it, which material would is a good conductor of heat here. Now, good conductor of heat are called conductors, and there are materials which do not conduct heat, and they are called insulators of heat. In this slide, we look at electrical conductivity. So what is a conductor? We looked at the last slide where we looked at good heat conductors. So by now, we should all know that conductor means something that absorbs heat or it absorbs electricity. In this case, when certain materials, they absorb electricity very well, that means they allow electricity to pass through them. They are called good electrical conductors. Okay, that means they transfer electricity very well, whereas there are certain materials which do not allow electricity to pass through them. If you look at the picture on your right hand side, you see a mixie jar and you also see a plug. We are all very familiar with plastic sockets, plastic plugs. The reason they are made of plastic is because I'm sure most of you would have guessed, right? Yeah, plastic doesn't allow electricity to pass through it. We can touch at plastic plugs here and we don't feel anything. We even touch at plastic wires when we keep the phone for charging, the electric wires all around us. If you see all wires, they have a coating of plastic outside. Why? Again, they don't conduct electricity and we don't feel the electrical impulse. Okay, we don't feel the electric charge. So it's for a safety reason all wires are coated with plastic. But if you happen to cut electric wires and if you see inside, you can see there are copper wires, and copper wires are supposed to be very good conductors of electricity, and you should never ever touch those exposed wires if you come across any. I would like you to click on the link below and watch the video to find out more about what are good electrical insulators and what are poor insulators of electricity. The fourth property that we're going to talk about is called magnetic property. Now, all of us know what magnets are. We have seen lots of magnets. There are so many magnets on the classroom board, and one of the property of the magnet is that it sticks to certain material. Now, magnets, they do not stick to all materials. They do not attract all material. Only some material has magnetic property and they allow magnet to stick to it. So that's the magnetic property that we're all familiar with. Now, besides using as a magnet, this magnetic property of certain materials such as iron's got a very good magnetic property of it can be useful in many other applications in life. Say for example, we can make electromagnet out of iron by wrapping a copper wire around it and letting electricity to pass through it. When this happens, a very strong magnet is created and the electricity passes at a very high speed. And such kind of applications are useful in many electrical appliances such as a hair dryer and the doorbell that we have in our house. and also like in running bullet trains, and there's like a magnetic crane. So this magnetic property of certain materials is very useful in many important applications in life. Please click the link below and watch the video. So far in this lesson, we looked at 4 properties of materials. First, transparency to light, magnetic property, heat conductivity, electrical conductivity. These are the 4 properties that we looked at in today's lesson. Now in next slide, we'll look at picture and we'll see how materials with different properties have specific purpose and why the materials and how the materials are used according to their strengths. Say for example, the water bottle here. Now, what property does the water bottle have? Okay, this is like we looked at the 4 properties, and besides the 4 properties, there are other properties such as stretching, flexible, smooth, rough, hard, soft. Those are other properties that we know that every material has. So look at this picture here and look at where can you find the material which has the property of transparency to light. Can you find that material? I can see. Okay, question 2. Where can you find the material which has electrical conductivity? Can you find it? I can see the person running, so I'm sure the machine, the treadmill is working and there is electrical conductivity happening somewhere which makes the belt move faster and faster, which makes the machine move. Now, where can you find the material which has what kind of property? Which has, let's say, magnetic property. Can you find? Yes, as we talked earlier, many electrical appliances, they use magnetic property because there's certain metals, they conduct electricity and can become powerful magnets. And these electromagnets are very powerful conductors of electricity. So, as I said before, many appliances use magnetic property of certain materials. Let's take example of those stools which are there for sitting, the benches. Now, can we make benches of materials which are very soft and which are very delicate? No, because we need these benches to last for a longer time, to absorb certain amount of weight. So they have to be made up of material which are very strong, which are very rigid, okay? And certain materials have these kind of properties. Do you know which material has this property? Yeah, metal. It's given here. Metal has this property. Anything else can you think of to make benches which will last longer, which is strong and rigid? I think wood, right? We have seen wooden benches. And besides wood, any other material that you can think of. Think about it. Have a think. What about water bottle? How many different types of materials you can use to make a water bottle? We all know we have plastic bottles, we have glass, we have metal, and can you think of anything else? Something that's waterproof and something that's light to carry. Think about it. Have a think. In your next slide, your homework for today's STEM lesson is to design a tent, a camping tent. As you see in the picture, it doesn't have to be like this, but I'm just showing you so that you know what a tent is. Now, you have to design a tent using different materials which have different properties, which are used for specific purposes, such as the tent has to be made up of light material. It should be easy to carry. It has to be flexible because you have to fold it and take it back again with you. And it has to have certain transparent materials, and the material has to be very durable because like if it rains heavily, it has to be waterproof. So keep in mind everything, the safety precautions that you need for the tent and the usage of tent. Based on your idea, And based on different materials and their properties, you need to design a tent. Please refer to the Google Classroom for detailed instructions.